We are. So we're on page 175, and we're still hearing Jack's perspective on life with his friend Augie. Why I didn't sit with August the first day of school. Okay, I'm a total hypocrite, I know. The very first day of school, I remember seeing Augie in the cafeteria. Everybody was looking at him, talking about him. Back then, no one was used to his face or even knew that he was coming to birth. So it was shocked a lot of people to see him there on the first day of school. Most kids were even afraid to get near him. So when I saw him going into the cafeteria ahead of me, I knew he'd have no one to sit with, hang out with him. But I couldn't bring myself to sit with him. I'd been hanging out with him all morning long because we had so many classes together. And I guess I just kind of wanted a little normal time to chill with other kids. So when I saw him move to a table on the other side of the lunch counter, I purposely found a table as far away from there as I could find. I sat down with Isaiah and Luca, even though I'd never met them before. And we talked about baseball the whole time. And I played basketball with them at recess. They became my lunch table from then on. I heard Summer had sat down with August, which surprised me because I knew for a fact that she wasn't one of the kids that Tushman had talked about being friends with Augie. So I knew she was doing it just to be nice. And that was pretty brave, I thought. So now here I am sitting with Summer and August, and they were being totally nice to me as always. I feel about everything Charlotte had told me, except for the whole, the big part about my leaving, having snapped under the pressure of being August's friend, or the part about Julian's mom saying that Augie had special needs, or the part about the school board. I guess all I really told them about was how Julian had had a holiday party and managed to turn the whole grade against me. It just feels so weird, I said, to not have people talking to you, pretending you don't even exist. Augie started smiling. You think? He said sarcastically. Welcome to my world. Sides. So here are the official sides, said Summer at lunch the next day. She pulled out a folded piece of loose leaf paper and opened it. It had 3 columns of names. Jack's side, Julian's side, and neutrals. Jack's side, Jack, August, Reed, Max G, and Max W. Julian's side, Miles, Henry, Amos, Simon, Tristan, Pablo, Nino, Isaiah, Lucas, Jake, Tolan, Roman, Ben, Emmanuel, Zeke, and Tommaso. The neutrals, Malik, Romo, Jose, Leaf, Ram, Ivan, and Russell. Where did you get this? Said Augie, looking over my shoulder as I read the list. Charlotte made it, Summer answered quickly. She gave it to me last period, and she thought you should know who was on your side, Jack. Yeah, not many people, that's for sure, I said. Rita, she said, and the 2 Maxes. Great, the nerds are on my side. Don't be mean, said Summer. I think Charlotte likes you, by the way. Yeah, I know. Are you going to ask her out? Are you kidding? I can't, now that everybody's acting like I have the plague. The second I said it, I realized I shouldn't have said it. There was this awkward moment of silence. I looked at Augie. It's okay, he said. I knew about that. Sorry, dude, I said. I didn't know they call it the plague, though, he said. I figured it was more like the cheese touch or something. Oh, yeah, like in Diary of a Wimpy Kid? I nodded. The plague actually sounds cooler, he joked, like someone could catch the black death of ugliness. And he said this, he made air quotes. I think it's awful, said Summer, but Augie shrugged while taking a big sip from his juice box. Anyway, I'm not asking Charlotte out, I said. My mom thinks we're all too young to be dating anyway, she answered. What if Rita asked you out? I said. Would you go? I could tell she was surprised. No, she said. I'm just asking, I laughed. She shook her head and smiled. Why? Do you know something? No, nothing. I'm just asking, I said. I actually agree with my mom, she said. I do think we're too young to be dating. I mean, I just don't see what the rush is. Yeah, I agreed, said August, which is a kind of a shame, you know, with all those babes who keep throwing themselves at me and stuff. He said this in such a funny way that the milk I was drinking came out of my nose when I left, which made all of us totally crack up. August house. It was already the middle of January, and we still hadn't even chosen which science fair project we were going to work on. I guess I kept putting it off because I just didn't want to do it. Finally, August was like, dude, we have to do this. So we went to his house after school. I was really nervous because I didn't know if August had even told his parents about what we now call the Halloween incident. Turns out the dad wasn't even home and the mom was out running errands. I'm pretty sure from the 2 seconds I spent talking to her that Augie had never mentioned a thing about it. She was super cool and friendly towards me. When I first walked into Augie's room, I was like, whoa, Augie, you've got a serious Star Wars addiction. He had ledges full of Star Wars miniatures and a huge The Empire Strikes Back poster on his wall. I know, right? He laughed. He sat down on a rolling chair next to his desk, and I plopped down on a beanbag chair in the corner. That's when this dog waddled into the room right up to me. He was on your holiday card, I said, letting the dog sniff my hand. He corrected me. Daisy, you can pet her. She doesn't bite. When I started petting her, she basically just rolled over into her back. She wants you to rub her tummy, said August. Okay, this is the cutest dog I've ever seen, I said, rubbing her stomach. I know, right? She's the best dog in the world, aren't you, girlie? As soon as she heard Augie's voice say that, the dog started wagging her tail and went over to him. Who's my little girlie? Who's my little girlie? Augie was saying as she looked him all over the face. I wish I had a dog, I said. My parents think our apartment's too small. I started looking around at the stuff in his room while he turned on the computer. Hey, you've got an Xbox 360? Can we play? Dude, we're here to work on the science fair project. Do you have Halo? Of course I have Halo. Please, can we play? He had logged on to the Beecher website and was now scrolling down Miss Rubin's teacher page to the list of science fair projects. Can you see from here, he said. I sighed and went over to sit on a little stool that was right next to him. Cool iMac, I said. What kind of computer do you have? Dude, I don't even have my own room, much less my own computer. My parents have this ancient Dell that's practically dead. Okay, how about this one, he said, turning the screen in my direction so I could look. I made a quick scan of the screen and my eyes literally started blurring. Making a sun clock, he said. That sounds kind of cool. I leaned back. Can we just make a volcano? Everybody makes volcanoes. Duh. Oh, it's because it's easy, I said, patting Daisy again. What about how to make a crystal spikes out of Epsom sauce? Sounds boring, I answered. So why'd you call her Daisy? He didn't look up from the screen. My sister named her. I wanted to call her Darth. Actually, technically speaking, her full name is Darth Daisy, but we really never call her that. Darth Daisy, that's funny. Darth Daisy, I said to the dog, who rolled into her back again for me to rub her tummy. Okay, this one is the one, said August, pointing to a picture on the screen of a bunch of potatoes with wires poking out of them. How to build an organic battery made of potatoes. Now that's cool. It says here you could power a lamp with it. We could call it a spud lamp or something. What do you think? Dude, that sounds way too hard. You know I suck at science. Shut up, you do not. Yeah, I do. I got a 54 on my last test. I suck at science. No, you don't. And that was only because you were still fighting and I wasn't helping you. I can help you now. This is a good project, Jack. We've got to do it. Fine, whatever, I shrugged. Just then there was a knock on the door. A teenage girl with long, dark, wavy hair poked her head inside the door. She wasn't expecting to see me. Oh, hey, she said to both of us. Hey, Via, said August, looking back at the computer screen. Via, this is Jack. Jack, this is Via. Hi, I said, nodding hello. Hey, she said, looking at me carefully. I knew the second Augie had said my name, he had told her about the stuff I had said about him. I could tell from the way she looked at me. In fact, the way she looked at me made me think she remembered me from that day at Carvel at Amsford Avenue all those years ago. Augie, I have a friend I want you to meet, okay, she said. He's coming over in a few minutes. Is he your new boyfriend, August teased. Via kicked the bottom of his chair. Just be nice, she said, and left the room. Dude, your sister's hot, I said. I know. She hates me, right? You told her about the Halloween incident? Yeah. Yeah, she hates me, or yeah, you told her about Halloween. Both. The boyfriend. 2 minutes later, the sister came back with this guy named Justin. Seemed like a cool enough dude, longish hair, little round glasses. He was carrying a big, long, shiny silver case that ended with a sharp point on one end. Justin, this is my little brother, August, said Via, and that's Jack. Hey guys, said Justin, shaking her hands. He seemed a little nervous. I guess maybe it was because he was meeting August for the first time. Sometimes I forget what a shock it is the first time you meet him. Cool room. Are you Via's boyfriend? Augie asked mischievously, and his sister put his cap down over his face. What's in your case? I said. A machine gun? Ha, said the boyfriend. That's funny. No, it's a fiddle. Justin's a fiddler, said Via. He's in a Zydeco band. Zydeco. What the heck is a Zydeco band? Said Augie, looking at me. It's a type of music, said Justin, like Creole music. What's Creole? I said. You should tell people that's a machine gun, said Augie. Nobody would ever mess with you. Ha, I guess you're right, Justin said, nodding and tucking his hair behind his ears. Creole is the kind of music they play in Louisiana, he said to me. Are you from Louisiana? I asked. No, he nodded, pushing up his glasses. I'm from Brooklyn. I don't know why this made me want to laugh. Come on, Justin, said Via, pulling him by the hand. Let's go hang out in my room. Okay, see you guys later. Bye, he said. Bye, bye. As soon as they left the room, Augie looked at me smiling. I'm from Brooklyn, I said, and we both started laughing hysterically. Part 5, Justin's. Sometimes I think my head is so big because it's so full of dreams. And that's a quote from The Elephant Man. So this is going to be Justin's perspective. Olivia's brother. The first time I met Olivia's little brother, I have to admit, I was totally taken by surprise. I shouldn't be, of course. Olivia told me about his syndrome, has even described what he looks like. But she also talked about all of his surgeries over the years. So I guess I assumed he'd be more normal looking by now. Like when a kid is born with a cleft lip and plastic surgery to fix it, sometimes you can't even tell, except for the little scar above the lip. I guess I thought her brother would have some scars here and there, but not this. I definitely wasn't expecting to see this little kid in a baseball cap who's sitting in front of me right now. Actually, there are two kids sitting in front of me. One is totally normal looking with curly blonde hair named Jack. The other is Augie. I like to think I'm able to hide my surprise. I hope I do. Surprise is one of those emotions that can be hard to fake though. Whether you're trying to look surprised when you're not, or you're trying not to look surprised when you are. I shake his hand. I shake the other kid's hand. I don't want to focus on his face. Cool room, I say. Are you Via's boyfriend? He says. I think he's smiling. Olivia pushes down his baseball cap. Is that a machine gun? The blind kid asked, like I haven't heard that one before. And we talk about Zydeco for a bit. And then Via's taking my hand and leading me out of that room. And as soon as we close the door behind us, I hear them laughing. I'm from Brooklyn, one of them sings. Olivia rolls her eyes as she smiles. Let's go hang out in my room, she says. We've been dating for 2 months now. I knew from the moment I saw her, the moment she sat down at our table in the cafeteria, that I liked her. I couldn't keep my eyes off of her, really. She's so beautiful with olive skin and the bluest eyes I've ever seen in my life. At first, she acted like she only wanted to be friends. I think she kind of gives off that vibe without even meaning to. Stay back. Don't even bother. She doesn't flirt like some other girls do. She looks you right in the eye when she talks to you, like she's daring you. So I just kept looking at her right in the eye too, like I was daring her right back. And then I asked her out and she says yes, which rocked. She's an awesome girl and I love hanging out with her. She didn't tell me about August until our third date. I think she used the phrase, a craniofacial abnormality to describe his face, or maybe it was craniofacial abnormality. I know the one word she didn't use was deformed, though, because that word would have registered with me. So, what do you think? She asked me nervously, the second we're inside her room. Are you shocked? No, I lie. She smiles and looks away. You're shocked. I'm not, I assure her. He's just like what you said he'd be. She nods and plops down on her bed. Kind of cute how she still has a lot of stuffed animals on her bed. She takes one of them, a polar bear, without thinking, and puts it on her lap. I sit down on the rolling chair by her desk. Her room is immaculate. When I was little, she said, there were lots of kids who never came back for a second play date. I mean, lots of kids. I even have friends who wouldn't come to my birthdays because he would be there. They'd never actually told me this, but it would get back to me. Some people just don't know how to deal with Augie, you know? I nod. It's not even like they know they're being mean, she adds. They're just scared. I mean, let's face it. His face is a little scary, right? I guess, I answered. But you're okay with it? She asked me sweetly. You're not too freaked out or scared? I'm not freaked out or scared. I smiled. She nods and looks down at the polar bear on her lap. I can't tell whether she believes me or not, but then she gives the polar bear a kiss on the nose and tosses it to me with a little smile. I think that means she believes me, or at least she wants to. Valentine's Day. I give Olivia a heart necklace for Valentine's Day, and she gives me a messenger bag she's made out of old floppy disks. Very cool. It's very cool how she makes things like that. Earrings out of pieces of circuit boards, dresses out of t-shirts, bags out of old jeans. She's so creative. I tell her she should be an artist someday, but she wants to be a scientist, a geneticist of all things. She wants to find cures for people like her brother, I guess. We make plans for me to finally meet her parents at a Mexican restaurant on Amsterdam Avenue near her home on Saturday night. All day long, I am so nervous about it. And when I get nervous, my tics come out. I mean, my tics are always there, but they're not like there used to be when I was little. Nothing but a few hard blinks now, an occasional head pull. But when I'm stressed, they get worse. And I'm definitely stressing about meeting her folks. They're waiting inside when I get to the restaurant. The dad gets up and shakes my hand, and the mom gives me a hug. I give Augie hello, fist punch, and kiss Olivia on the cheek before I sit down. It's so nice to meet you, Justin. We've heard so much about you. Her parents couldn't be nicer. They put me at ease right away. The waiter brings over the menu, and I notice his expression the moment he lays eyes on August. But I pretend not to notice. I guess we're all pretending not to notice things tonight. The waiter, my tics, the way August crushes the tortilla chips on the table and spoons the crumbs into his mouth. I look at Olivia and she smiles at me. She knows. She sees the waiter's face. She sees my tics. Olivia is a girl who sees everything. We spend the entire dinner talking and laughing. Olivia's parents ask me about my music, how I got into the fiddle and stuff like that. And I tell them about how I used to play classical violin, but I got into Appalachian folk music and then Zydeco, and they're listening to every word like they're really interested. They tell me to let them know the next time my band's playing a gig so they can come listen. I'm not used to all this attention. To be truthful, my parents don't have a clue about what I want to do with my life. They never asked. We never talked like this. I don't think they even know I traded my Baroque violin for an 8-string Harmager fiddle 2 years ago. After dinner, we go back to Olivia's for some ice cream. Their dog greets us at the door, an old dog, super sweet. She's thrown up all over the hallway, though. Olivia's mom rushes to get paper towels while the dad picks up the dog like she's a baby. What's up, old girlie, he says. And the dog's in heaven, tongue hanging out, tail wagging, legs in the air at awkward angles. Dad, tell Justin how you got Daisy, says Olivia. Yeah, says Augie. The dad smiles and sits down in a chair with the dog still cradled in his arms. It's obvious he's told this story lots of times, and they all love to hear it. So I'm coming home from the subway one day, he says, and a homeless guy I've never seen in this neighborhood before is pushing this floppy mutt in a stroller. And he comes up to me and says, hey, mister, want to buy my dog? Without even thinking about it. I say, sure, how much do you want? And he says, $10. So I give him $20 I have in my wallet, and he hands me the dog. Justin, I'm telling you, you never smelled anything so bad in your life. She stank so much, I can't even tell you. So I took her right from there to the vet's down the street, and then I brought her home. I didn't even call me first, by the way, the mom interjected as she cleans the floor to see if I'm okay with his bringing home some homeless guy's dog. The dog actually looks at the mom when she says this, like she understands everything everyone is saying about her. She's a happy dog, but she knows she lucked out that day finding this family. I kind of know how she feels. I like Olivia's family. They laugh a lot. My family's not like that at all. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 4, and they pretty much hate each other. I grew up spending half of every week in my dad's apartment in Chelsea and the other half in my mom's place in Brooklyn Heights. I have a half-brother who's 5 years older than me and barely knows I exist. For as long as I can remember, I felt like my parents could hardly wait for me to be old enough to take care of myself. You can go to the store by yourself. Here's the key to the apartment. It's funny how there's a word like overprotective to describe some parents, but no word that means the opposite. What word do you use to describe parents who don't protect enough? Underprotective, neglectful, self-involved, lame, all of the above. Olivia's family tell each other, I love you, all of the time. I can't remember the last time anyone in my family said that to me. But the time I go home, my tics have all stopped. Our Town. We're doing the play Our Town for the spring show this year. Olivia dares me to try out for the lead role, the stage manager, and somehow I get it. Total fluke. Never got a lead role in anything before. I'll tell Olivia she brings me good luck, but fortunately she doesn't get the female lead, Emily Gibbs. The pink-headed girl named Miranda gets it, and Olivia gets a bit part, and is also Emily's understudy. I'm actually more disappointed than Olivia is. She seems almost relieved. I don't love people staring at me, she says, which is sort of strange coming from such a pretty girl. A part of me thinks maybe she blew her audition on purpose. The spring show is at the end of April. It's mid-March now, so that's less than 6 weeks to memorize my part, plus rehearsal time, plus practicing with my band, plus finals, plus spending time with Olivia. It's going to be a rough 6 weeks, that's for sure. Mr. Davenport, the drama teacher, is already manic about the whole thing and will drive us crazy by the time it's over, no doubt. I heard through the grapevine that he's been planning on doing the Elephant Man, but changed it to Our Town at the last minute. And that change took a week off of our rehearsal schedule. Not looking forward to the craziness of the next month and a half. Ladybug. Olivia and I are sitting on her front stoop. She's helping me with my lines. It's a warm March evening, almost like summer, and the sky is still bright, but the sun is low and the sidewalks are streaked with long shadows. I'm reciting. Yes, the sun's coming up over 1,000 times. Summers and winters have cracked the mountains a little bit more, and the rains have brought down some of the dirt. Some babies that weren't even born before have been talking regular sentences already. And the number of people who thought they were right, young, and spry have noticed they can't bound up the flight of stairs like they used to without their heart fluttering a little. I shake my head. I can't remember the rest of the lines. All that happened in 1,000 days, Olivia prompts me, reading from the script. Right, I say, shaking my head. I sigh. I'm white. Olivia, how in the heck am I going to remember all these lines? You will, she answers confidently. She reaches out and cups her head over a little ladybug that appears out of nowhere. See? A good luck sign, she says, slowly lifting her top hand to reveal the ladybug walking in the palm of her other hand. Good luck or just the hot weather, I joke. Of course good luck, she answers, watching the ladybug crawl up her wrist. There should be a thing about making a wish on a ladybug. Augie and I used to do that with fireflies when we were little. She cups her hand over the ladybug again. Come on, make a wish. Close your eyes. I dutifully close my eyes, a long second pause, and then I open them. Did you make a wish, she asks. Yep. She smiles, uncups her hands, and the ladybug, as if on cue, spreads its wings and flirts away. Don't you want to know what I wish for, I ask, kissing her. No, she answers shyly, looking up at the sky, which at this very moment is the exact color of her eyes. I make a wish too, she said mysteriously, but she has so many things she could wish for. I have no idea what she's thinking. Well, we're going to stop this book for now, and we're going to read a book called Mother Raspberry, okay? And it's got a lot of good pictures. I hope I can show you. This is, yeah, that's Mother Raspberry's house. Okay, this is her garden. Her house is very small in the woods, all right? Do you see that house hidden away in the woods? Mother Raspberry lives there. In the summer, when the trees are thick with leaves, you can't see her house from the village, but you can smell it because Mother Raspberry is always making jam. Sometimes the trees and even the whole valley smells like raspberry jam. Okay, and there's a picture of Mother Raspberry. Okay, one morning, while Mother Raspberry sat in her garden, Horatio the goat plopped a raspberry into his mouth. Some goats love tin cans, but Horatio loves strawberry preserves, apple marmalade, and especially raspberry jam. Horatio swallowed the berry and then snorted twice, very loudly. Well, if you're sure the berries are ripe, said Mother Raspberry, we'll have our village friends come over to help us pick them. Okay, so there are a whole bunch of kids there. The next morning, Peter, Tom, Mary, and Ann went to Mother Raspberry's garden with buckets and baskets. Soon they were hard at work with all of their friends. Tomorrow we'll have onion soup with raspberry jam, said Ann, and steak smothered in raspberry jam. And spinach with raspberry jam sauce, cried Peter, because he hated spinach. Quickly, the berries were gathered and carried to Mother Raspberry's kitchen. A fire was already burning in the cold stove. Ann measured out the sugar while Mary weighed the berries. Okay, there they all are. Next, we'll boil the berries and sugar together, said Mother Raspberry. And when the jam begins to thicken, we can fill up the jars. Okay. If you know it, but Horatio is right there, Mother Raspberry's side. The jam bubbled and boiled in the big copper kettle. Suddenly, a lonely cry echoed in the faraway mountains. That's the call of old Crooked Tail, said Mother Raspberry. He's the meanest wolf in the world. All the forest animals are afraid of him. Even the bears, whispered Tom, as the mysterious cry sounded again. Even the bears. Once I left a pot of jam out in the garden, and Crooked Tail came by and stole it. Now every winter he comes prowling around here because he loves jam and trouble. Soon the jam was safely stored away, and everybody forgot about Crooked Tail. Summer ended and fall began. Now was the time to pick apples and harvest garden crops and chop firewood for the winter. Then one afternoon, the mountain wind brought an old familiar cry into the valley, the lonely howl of a wolf. Winter was coming, and Crooked Tail was leaving the cold mountains. He was coming back down into the valley. And there's an apple tree, and one of the kids is up in the apple tree picking apples for Mother Raspberry to make apple marmalade. The winter was very hard. The wind shrieked and the windows rattled. The road to Mother Raspberry's house was closed by snow. But every day, smoke curled out of the chimney of her home. Okay, if you can see that. There's a little line of smoke. And the kids knew that Mother Raspberry was safe and warm in her house. Ooh. One icy morning, Tom and his sister looked at Mother Raspberry's house. The chimney was not smoking. Was something wrong? And then far over the hills came the howl of a wolf. Crooked Tail. I can still smell the jam we made last summer, said Tom. So can Crooked Tail, answered his sister. Let's run to the village and get help, said Tom. Quickly, sleds and food and shovels were packed for the dangerous trip to Mother Raspberry's house. The villagers plunged through the snows of the great woods. Black shadows lurked under the trees, and night was coming. Okay, so those are the kids getting ready. And then there they are, going through the woods. Finally, they reached the house. It was almost lost under the snows, and nothing moved. Okay, there's the house. What's that strange sound? Asked somebody. Everybody listened, and nobody moved. A strange grumbling sound came from inside the house. Something was terribly wrong. We must get inside, said Peter. Let's dig the snow away from the door. And the snow flew left and right. Then Peter slowly opened the door and peered into the house. Run! The bed is covered with wild, dangerous animals. Uh-oh. What is going on here? Fiddlesticks! Come in and shut the door, said Mother Raspberry. She was in bed. There she is, covered by 7 squirrels, 2 hens, 2 cats, 2 foxes, and more rabbits than anybody could count. I burned up all my firewood last night, so I brought my friends in from the forest. We ate up all the jam, and then we went to bed to stay warm. What's that terrible sound, mumbled Tom. It's that pesky wolf. He ate too much jam. At the foot of the bed, with only his tail showing, was the wolf. Crooked Tail was warm and asleep and snoring very, very loudly. And that is the end. So Mother Raspberry was safe after all. And Crooked Tail turned out to be not such a bad wolf. Thank you.